In last class we looked at the setting, the characters, the dialogue and the plot. In the setting we have seen how sadness, isolation, hunger, cold, how these work behind the setting. And the characters, we have seen the main characters, the little match girl and the grandmother. And the dialogue is between grandmother and the little match girl. And we also spoke about the plot. The main plot is symbolic, based on the needs and desires of the match girl. The four visions we said, and each vision how it is connected we have seen. Today we shall look at the rest of it. First of all, the title. Is the title, The Little Match Girl, is it a fitting one, apt one? Yes, it is apt. It's quite fitting because the entire story revolves around the little match girl. From the beginning till the end. The story begins with how the little match girl starts her journey to sell the matches, speaking about her physical conditions, other difficulties, how she sits down near a wall, then her imaginations, at the end how she meets her grandmother and she dies there. So entire thing is connected with her, therefore the title is very apt. There is no name given to the girl. The girl is not named, her age also is not mentioned. The purpose is that by not giving the name and age, Andersen is presenting a child who is being abused or one who is being put to trouble. It could be anybody, not a particular child, any child who is orphaned, who is abused, who is put to difficulty. So it goes beyond age and nationality. It is not a girl from Denmark, it could be anybody from any part of the world. So universal appeal. Now we shall look at the themes. Themes are very important because what the author wants to convey or what the characters convey through the story is a theme. What are the main themes dealt with in the story? First one is of course class differentiation. Class differentiation. Already we saw in the introduction how Andersen was a victim of class differentiation when he was born and brought up in the village where he lived, and he had to struggle through it. So this class differentiation means differences in different classes. So that is depicted as a theme. There were two classes earlier, before the Victorian age. This is speaking about the Victorian era. What is Victorian era? Victorian era is the time duration during which Queen Victoria was ruling Great Britain. Queen Victoria was ruling the Britain. That age is called Victorian age. From when to when? 1837 to 1901. 1837 to 1901. That is the period when we speak about Victorian age. So that time there was a strong class differentiation. Earlier there were only two classes, the rich and the poor. But during this time the class called middle class came up. And they started to occupy all the government jobs and other jobs. They became very prominent people. As a result, there were three classes: the wealthy, the middle class and the underclass. So rich were very rich, middle class were well-to-do and they were managing the show. And the underclass were the most privileged, most unprivileged ones, the orphans, those who did not have sufficient money to meet their needs. So this class differentiation is brought out as a theme. Another thing is be charitable. Another theme is be charitable. Be good to others. Show kindness and empathy towards people who are suffering. So in the little match girl we will see that the people were very indifferent to her. Apathetic attitude. Apathetic attitude means showing indifference. We don't care. Whatever happens to somebody else, we don't care. That shouldn't be our attitude. We should be charitable to others. The third theme is keep dreaming. Children should keep dreaming. What is the advantage of dreaming? It will help you to forgo your miseries. It will help you to forgo your sorrows, miseries, difficulties. When children have these difficulties, they should start to imagine. Keep dreaming and imagination brings happiness. So keep dreaming, keep imagining, keep fantasizing. That will help you to overcome your sadness and other troubles. That will help you to be happy. What is the fourth theme? It is hope and love. Hope and love. Andersen presents the story and concludes on a positive note, because whatever the girl desired, she got it. She wanted to be in the company of her grandmother and it was fulfilled. She wanted to remain with the grandmother, that also was granted to her. So it ends on a hope and love. The grandmother the only one who loved her. She could meet her. And we have seen when she was alive, she was sad, gloomy. But after she was frozen to death, next day when people came, her face was shining. Her cheeks were rosy and there was a smile on her face. So there is hope. That's another theme. Even when everything goes wrong, when everything is in misery, even then there is hope. And the fifth theme is treatment of children in Victorian era. Treatment of children in Victorian era. This is one of the main themes actually. If you do not understand this theme, you will not follow the classes. And to answer your workbook, also you will need understanding of this treatment of children in Victorian era. And that one main point is that the selling of matches as a friend for begging. Selling of matches as a friend, F-R-O-N-D. Friend for begging. What is the meaning of a friend for begging? Very difficult to understand. So please pay attention. The meaning of as a friend is to pretend, to cover up, or to falsely represent. So giving a cover up, giving a good name and doing something else. That is as a friend for begging means. There was a poor law passed in England. According to that, street begging was stopped. Street begging was prohibited. Is begging allowed in India? No, begging is illegal, not allowed. People can be arrested and put in jail for begging and creating nuisance to others. How many beggars are there in India, more or less? Yes, it is in lakhs. It is in lakhs. It was in 2015, last census of beggars was taken, and they said there were 4 lakh beggars, 4 lakh official beggars in India. Now it may be more. So, in England, begging was not allowed. Poor laws. According to that, street begging was prohibited. So now, when the street begging was prohibited, how to manage the show? They cannot beg it. They cannot beg publicly. They cannot send children for begging. Elderly people also cannot beg. So they found a solution for it. Give another name to it. So they said selling matches. Selling matches means indirectly it is begging, but giving a name which is very attractive. I'll give some examples of today's world. You have internet begging is there, and you have something called pooling. When you are in difficulty, suppose there is somebody needs to undergo some operation, so you don't have sufficient money, then they call it crowd pooling. You send messages to all your friends, friends will send their friends, all of them will collect money. It's another form of begging, but very decent way of doing it. So that is the meaning of as a friend for. As a friend for. So selling of matches was not really selling matches, it was begging. So in this treatment of children in the Victorian era, so the children were sent to beg for their livelihood because they were so poor, and they were subjected to various atrocities and abuses. Atrocities and abuses on many counts. Abuses on many counts means it could be physical abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse. It could be economical abuse. Economic abuse means they are not given sufficient things to take care of themselves. Physically, they were not given enough food to eat, and they were treated socially they were not treated well. So different sorts of abuses. If you look at the little match girl, you will find her way of dressing. She did not have shoes to put on. She had a slipper which was her mother's. It was very cold. She had an old apron. She sat in a corner where there is no light. She had nothing to warm up herself except the matches. All these are abuses. She was afraid to go home because she sold no matches, because if she goes back, her daddy will scold her. So, various abuses were children were subjected to different sorts of abuses. That is the meaning of treatment of children in Victorian era. This is one of the main themes. If you understand this one, then you understand the whole story. Another theme is interplay of contrast. Interplay of contrast. You know what is contrast means? Contradicting. Opposite things. So two things opposite in meaning is put together in order to achieve a purpose. Two opposites to depict the differentiation between rich and poor. So Andersen has used contrast in the story in order to put across to us the difference between the rich and the poor. How the rich were enjoying life and not care for the poor. So he uses words like life and death. The little girl did not have anything to eat, but the people who were living in the houses, they had everything. They were frying the goose and eating. There was plenty of light in the house and there was darkness outside. So darkness and light. life and death. So all these kind of poverty and riches, comfort and suffering, this kind of contrasting elements are brought in order to depict the differentiation between the rich and the poor. So these are the main themes. So class differentiation, be charitable to others, keep dreaming and keep imagining, hope and love, treatment of children in Victorian era, and interplay of contrast. These are the main themes you can point out. And we will come to the last item, that is symbolism, the use of symbolism. Last day we already made mention of a few. Plenty of symbols are used. What is a symbolism? What is symbolism? Symbolism is a word having a deeper meaning. Outwardly a word sounds like a normal word, but it has a deeper meaning or it has a different meaning. So that is called symbolism. It uses lot of symbolisms. For example, the words like cold, C-O-L-E, cold. Cold is absence of warmth. So it can, why it is symbolic? It is not only the absence of warmth in the sense, not the absence of heat, but absence of human warmth and human love. He is a warm person. He is a warm person or she is a warm person, means a person who is very receptive, one who accepts others, one who receives others, one who can speak to others politely. Such people are called warm people. So, cold represents lack of warmth. Matches and the striking of matches, it has a symbolic meaning. So striking of matches, the symbolism used is light. And also getting rid of isolation, loneliness. Iron stove, last day we have seen, iron stove is symbol of warmth. Roasted goose is a symbol of food. Xmas tree is symbol of comfort and joy. Shooting stars, symbol of death. A star coming down, symbol of somebody dying. Star going up, symbol of somebody going to meet God. So in your workbook it is given a lot of symbolisms used. So these are the main themes and the use of symbolism. That is enough for today. Actually the lesson is over, but this time I will give you some notes maybe tomorrow, because some of the questions asked in the workbook are very tough. You may find it difficult to answer them, so I will help you out tomorrow.